All right, and we are live. Hello and welcome to Lodgify's latest webinar. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are now live. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining. My name is Mikkel Radich, and I'm a content marketing strategist here at Lodgify. And yeah, always want to start off with a very big thank you to everyone in the audience. I see we've got people from all over the world. I've seen the US, Greece, Spain, Colombia, Mexico, France, Italy. Super cool to see everyone. And we are in for a treat because we have Tom Crow from Beyond here to talk to us about how to run your vacation rental efficiently from anywhere. Thanks so much for being here with us. Tom, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Tom. I'm the Director of Growth Marketing here at Beyond, and I spend my day thinking about what hosts do and how we can make their jobs easier.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Tom. Tom's got a great presentation for us today, and he'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. But first, a few things from me, starting with some housekeeping items. Please keep in mind that everyone here in the audience is muted, so we cannot hear you. No calling out questions or comments, but you can put those in the chat there at the right side of the screen. Now, if you can't hear us, a couple solutions. If you see a blue button that says tap to unmute sound, like the one pictured there on the slide, your audio is muted, so go ahead and give that a click. You can also try turning up your audio, and then if all else fails, try refreshing the page. It'll bring you right back here to the webinar, and that'll often do it. Now, since we get this question quite a lot, yes, the webinar recording will be sent out tomorrow. Everyone who's registered will be getting a link to the YouTube that you can revisit at your leisure. Okay, so what are we going to go over today? I'll be starting with a quick intro to Lodgify, and then pass it over to Tom to talk about how to run your vacation rental efficiently from anywhere. And then, as always, we'll be ending with a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions now, or if anything occurs to you throughout the webinar, go ahead and put your questions there in the chat, and we'll get through as many as we can at the end of the webinar. Okay, so what is Lodgify? I know we've got a lot of Lodgify customers here with us today, so I'll keep this pretty brief. But for those of you who aren't aware of us yet, we are a vacation rental management software that helps you manage, automate, and grow your short-term rentals. And our goal is really to help you maximize the potential of your rentals and also take full control of them. Now, how do we do that? It comes down to an all-in-one solution. So I'm going to briefly go over a handful of features here, but just keep in mind that all of these are available from the same place within Lodgify. The first feature I want to mention is our channel manager. A channel manager automatically syncs your calendars, rates, reservations, listing details, all the important stuff across everywhere you list. So that can include online travel agents like Airbnb, Booking, or Vrbo, as well as your direct booking site. And a channel manager is super important because it not only helps you prevent double bookings and overbookings because your calendars are in sync across everywhere you list, but it also helps you save a lot of time and reduce the risk of errors because you're not having to log into Lodgify, then Airbnb separately to make the same changes. We also have a website builder that helps you or enables you to build your own vacation rental website from scratch. This is something I've tested out, so I can promise you all it's super easy to use. You don't need to have any coding skills or website building experience. You can really get a professional website up and running in no time. And of course, that is equipped with our booking engine, so you can not only take direct bookings, but also process secure payments. And the cool thing about that is that it's built into not only our website builder, so websites you build from scratch with Lodgify, but also our booking widget. And what our booking widget does is if you already have a website set up for your business, it's all good to go and you don't want to start over, but that website isn't equipped to take direct bookings, you can use our booking widget to just copy and paste some code onto your existing site and start taking bookings in no time. And as I mentioned, it's an all-in-one system, so we also offer automation and AI tools to help you save time and streamline your operations. So things like cleaning, task and guest management, AI messaging assistant, saved replies and auto responders. I see a comment that my voice is cutting out. Is anyone else having audio issues? Can you hear me okay, Tom?
I can.
Okay, sweet. So Ada, maybe give the page a refresh. Hopefully that'll work for you. there's any other audio issues, go ahead and put them in the chat. But yeah, tools to help you save time and streamline operations. Of course, relevant to our discussion today is our mobile app that really helps you run your operations from anywhere, so you're not tied to your desktop at home. And something to note here is that we offer the app for hosts and property managers to help manage your operations, as well as a guest-facing app that serves as a sort of guidebook for information that guests need before check-in. The last feature I'll mention is our analytics and reporting tools, which help you generate and export reports on things like revenue, payments, and occupancy rates. And then, of course, we offer free onboarding and training, 24/7 customer support, and a marketplace of dozens of third-party integrations that we integrate with, including, of course, Beyond. And then last thing I'll say is if you haven't given us a try yet, I highly encourage you to do so. We offer a free 7-day trial that you can access using the link there on the screen, as well as the button at the bottom of your screen there that says Try Lodgify for free. And with that, I'll pass it over to you, Tom.
All right, thank you so much. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today. We're going to spend the next 25 to 30 minutes walking through a practical framework on how you can run your short-term business more effectively. If you're at your desk, at the property, or somewhere in between, so you're not, like Mikkel said, you're not tied to sitting at your desk on a computer. As I said, I'm Tom Crow. I'm the Director of Growth here at Beyond. Let's go ahead and jump into it. A quick little bit of context about me. I spend my days at Beyond thinking about how we help short-term hosts and property managers grow their business, how we help you get to where you want to be. And we really want you to do it without losing your minds, just like our friends at Lodgify. And today, we are squarely staying right in that lane. So whether you're managing 1 or 2 properties or 20, the challenge looks pretty similar here for hosts. It's really complex running a hospitality business to keep it growing, but by being limited to your time, your energy, your effort. The complexity of what you're expected to do to get where you need to go can be pretty overwhelming. So we're going to talk here about closing that gap a bit for you. And just to give you an idea and to level set, here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to go through 5 stages of actual implementation. So hopefully when you finish this, you can go and start using some of what you're going to learn. We're going to start with an audit, so you know how and where your time is really spent and where it's going. We're going to move into some mobile tool options that can get you away from your laptop. Then we're going to talk about AI, and we're talking about real AI, not buzzword AIs. Move into automation, and then we're going to finish with how you use the time that you've recovered to actually grow your business. So let's get started. Before we get to any solutions, I want to make sure that we're all starting from the same place. If you could, just in the chat, type anything, put an emoji, and let us know if any of this sounds familiar to you. You're catching up on spreadsheets late at night because that was the only quiet time you had during the day to think about your property. Or you're making pricing calls from your phone in a parking lot outside of the property because something just changed and you need to move quickly. You have a simple question. How is occupancy looking for next month or next quarter? And it took you 3 different tabs moving around through different tooling to find the answer. And maybe, most frustratingly, you're constantly reacting to what's happening, not making proactive decisions for your business. Something shifts in the market and you find out about it after the fact. That could be there's an event coming to town that you missed and you could have increased your pricing. Anything like that. And this is pretty much the norm from what I hear from most short-term operators right now, but it doesn't have to be. Here's why this conversation is happening now specifically. Tools have finally caught up with the complexity of your business, and that wasn't the case even just 3 years ago. The AI market in travel and hospitality alone is projected to reach nearly $14 billion over the next 4 years. And the adoption of data is moving really quickly. Roughly half of all hoteliers are actually integrating AI tools into their stack, and nearly 80% of those are reporting that it's positively impacting their business. Now, these stats are about the hotel world, which tends to lead the way for tech adoption with bigger resources, and they're working at a larger scale. But y'all in short-term rental are right behind them. And if anything, the gap is closing faster than people expected it to because of some of these tools and options. Hosts and property managers building on AI and using mobile technology for their operations right now are going to have such an advantage over those who wait. So don't think of this like the future is coming conversation. Think this is here now and I need to get in. So how do you get started? Let's go through some practical applications. Phase one is probably the most important step that people skip, but it is really important. You can't fix what you don't know, and what you don't know is what you haven't measured yet. So the first step that you need to do is really easy. Let's go ahead and log your week. For the next 3 to 5 days, track every task that you do and get an idea of how long it takes. Do something as simple as putting it in Apple Notes or putting it in a spreadsheet, maybe getting a time tracker. Whatever works for you. It's not to add extra stress. It's just to really give you an idea of where you're spending your time so that you can find what you're not optimized, and you're not trying to find what's not optimized yet. Right now, it's just observing. So do it as real of an idea of a standard week as you possibly can. Next, we're going to go ahead and map out your tech stack. Write down every tool that you touch. Lodgify, your channel for your channel management, whatever you're using, like Beyond for dynamic pricing, your PMS, how you're messaging with people, what reports you're pulling. And I think you're probably going to end up being surprised by just how many different tools you touch and use, and maybe more surprised by how little these are currently working together. Next step, we're going to find the leaks. Where are you spending 30 plus minutes on something that feels like it should take 2 to 5 minutes? For most of operators, that's probably one of 3 things. You're looking at your manual pricing checks, you're pulling together reports by yourself, or you're responding to that same question from guests over and over and over again. Fourth, you've got to prioritize ruthlessly. You don't fix everything at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to pick the 1 or 2 biggest drains and solve for those first. Everything else can wait. So here's how this phase works. You're going to get all of the data you can. You're going to name your single biggest time sink in under 10 seconds without thinking about it. If you can't, do the full audit. So now that we've got that data together, we're going to move on to phase 2, which is about getting your operation out of your desk, off of your computer, and into your pocket to take with you. This phase is your mobile enablement. And the goal here isn't just to have an app. There are 50 million apps on the app market right now that all claim to do something different. What we need to do is we need to find the right information that you can surface at the right time without having to go look for it. And what tool is going to help you get there? So let's start with your core tools that you have. Does your PMS have a solid mobile application? For your pricing, can you do your pricing adjustments and look at it from an app? Does your channel manager have it? If not, it's worth factoring into your next tool evaluation period that you're going to have. A platform that's really powerful and keeps you going on your computer, but it's clunky on mobile, it's going to keep you tethered to the laptop and make you less agile and able to move when you need to. Next, think about enabling some smart alerts. You don't want your phone buzzing every time someone views a listing, but you do want to know immediately when a booking comes in, when someone cancels, or when occupancy drops below a threshold that should trigger an action. And you're going to want to configure these deliberately. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time, but in the long run, it's going to save you more time. And you're going to find that most platforms support this, but most hosts don't ever set it up. And third, and this may sound somewhat counterintuitive, we're going to set rules for yourself about when you check apps. Constantly checking is just as paralyzing as not checking at all. Decide which push notifications you want to get for urgent items only, which ones you want to check in on once per day, what you want to check in once a week, and structure it so that you can actually step away. And your success metric here is really simple. You stop taking your laptop everywhere. You're able to go out and live your life, and nothing is falling through the cracks. I'm going to go ahead and say, I know we talked a little bit about this here. Lodgify has a great mobile app that will help you so much. Beyond has a great mobile app that can take care of all of your dynamic pricing. You have options that are readily available to start implementing now. So we're going to move on to phase 3 now, where it's going to start to feel kind of like your operation is changing. We're going to look at AI-powered insights, because those are able to help you get answers faster and better than you can do manually right now. The first idea you want to think about is prompt setting. Think about the questions that you ask every week but currently have to go dig for. Which listings of mine have low occupancy for the next 2 to 3 months? How did last weekend compare to the same weekend, or how did last weekend compare to the same weekend this time last year? What's my average lead time by listing? They're not hard questions, but they are tedious to go digging through reports to answer. So write them down. These will become your AI prompts. Next, let's look for tools that are integrating with your actual data. Generic tools like ChatGPT are useful, but the real power is going to come when the AI has access to your portfolio, your market, your historical performance. Then you can ask it these very detailed questions, and it can get back to you with real numbers. Natural language reporting is the practical output that we're going for here. Instead of pulling a report where you have to filter spreadsheets or set up different rules to find things to draw a conclusion, you ask a question and get the answer. Why did occupancy drop last Tuesday? This should take a couple of seconds, not minutes. And then finally, go ahead and set up some workflow triggers. You want to be flagged when something unusual happens, like your pricing gaps, if there's a sudden surge or drop in demand, if the booking lead time changes. And these goals can help you set a strategy to be more reactive, more proactive, and less reactive. Your success metric that you're looking for here to build on is that you spend less time per week digging through reports and analyzing what's happened, and more time deciding what to actually do about it. And now we're moving on to phase 4. And this is where you start building that system that keeps running even when you're not. Automation isn't about replacing your judgment. It's about making sure that the routine stuff actually happens reliably, so that your judgment is reserved for things that actually need you. Automated alerts are going to be the crux of this. Combine your mobile notifications with AI-driven thresholds. Now, as occupancy drops below a certain percentage on a certain listing, well, then you should get an alert on your phone with a suggested action. You don't have to go look for it. It came to you, you have the problem, and you have a potential solution. Guest and owner communications can be huge time sinks for hosts and property managers. And they're also highly automatable. Template some responses for common guest questions. Automate your check-in instructions like you can do using, like you can do for your guests using the Lodgify app. Give proactive, if you have owners that you're reporting to, give proactive updates. These don't require your personal attention, and you can build a system that can answer these and take this off of your plate. Once you have your alerts and your AI prioritization in place, you can delegate more confidently to your tooling. Instead of figuring out what to do, you get a flag that says, AI flagged this listing for a pricing review. Here's the context. Here's a proposed tweak. That's a very different workflow than most operators are operating under now. Now you'll go in and look at a report, realize for a few days or a week, something has changed and you haven't reacted to it. Lastly, go ahead and build out those reports. Schedule your weekly performance summary, set it up once with AI assistance, make sure that it's continuing to give you the information you need, and then you're always ready for to make informed decisions without having to go chase the data. This delegation piece is really important, or this automation piece is really important because it'll give you extra time to focus on growing your business instead of just being at a state of maintenance. And now we're looking at stage 5, and this is really where it's going to pay off. Everything we've talked about up to this point, the audit, the mobile tools, AI, automation, and workflows, they're not the end result in and of themselves. We've built the infrastructure for what we need. And now that we have that infrastructure, we're able to have the most valuable thing for our business: time to think strategically and with a growth mindset. When your operations have been systematized and you're adding a property doesn't mean that you're adding like a larger workload, you're really unlocked for growth. Most hosts plateau, not because the market is limiting them, but because they hit a personal capacity ceiling. And what we're doing right now is we are raising that ceiling for your growth. So as you're doing this, let's build in a quarterly strategy review using your mobile and AI tooling. Pull the insights on your top performing listings, identify those underperforming segments that you have, and make intentional decisions. Again, our goal is to move away from reacting to situations and to more proactively avoid them. If you are a PM, go ahead and think about what that owner relationship looks like. Right now, most owners get updates when something goes wrong. But if you can think about it proactively and you can automate those performance summaries every week, think about how much better of a position that puts you in and how much more that defends your necessity. You've created a different relationship, and it gives you a real competitive advantage in that relationship. The other thing I want to mention here, go back, is as you have more time, you can now use your headspace and your energy, not just for building strategy, but experimenting on what that does. Start testing more pricing, adjust your seasonal curves, look at event opportunity in your market. These revenue levers are there, but they do require some mental bandwidth if you really want to keep your hands on your pricing, but you don't have time for that with your spreadsheets. The other thing you can do is you can spend more time experimenting with a tool like Beyond for dynamic pricing and see how these different factors go in and how pricing is affected based on the data that we have. And here, your success metric, it's simple again. You're spending more time choosing what to do next instead of just trying to fix what was or wasn't done yesterday. Let's go ahead and pull all of this together. And I'm going to give you 5 takeaways that I want you to leave with today. First, start your audit and do this today. You can't fix what you don't know, and you can't measure what you don't know. Even just a couple of days of tracking your time will probably reveal a lot more to you than you're expecting right now. Next, AI is not just a buzzword or a new phase. This is going to be the baseline for modern short-term rental management. The tools are here, and you have an opportunity to build your operation in a way that you didn't 3 years ago, that can really provide a structural advantage and put you closer to the delta of really big players without a lot of time or financial investment. Also, just as important to remember, AI isn't going to replace your judgment. It makes your judgment faster, it gives you more information, but you're still the one who's making the call. But now you have time back to make better decisions in less time. Fourth, automation and mobile solutions aren't just feel-good things about convenience. They're going to free up your mental bandwidth. They're going to give you the latitude to actually grow your business. There's a real measurable value in getting this stage right. Fifth, we're not just trying to automate and do all of this just to be more efficient for its own sake. You need to think about what this efficiency means. It's building an operation for you to scale without burning out. It's giving you time back. And that's what this remote roadmap is designed to help you get toward. We want to move you to the point of running a better, more efficient, easier business. And I think with that, we have reached the end and are ready for questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom. That was super helpful. And I love how actionable your tips are. I think you've laid it out really in easy steps that people can follow. So thank you. We've got some questions to dive into. I actually wanted to ask you right off the bat a couple of my own questions. Something that I think might be occurring to some people in the audience is, are these steps worth it if I only manage one listing? Because obviously for property managers that have multiple listings to manage, a relationship with an owner to manage as well, the payoff might be greater. But do you see benefits for people who maybe just own and manage their own property?
Absolutely. Especially if you own your own property and you're competing against people who are already using a more involved infrastructure, you're at a disadvantage. There's a delta that you have to raise that your own insights may not catch. Are things changing in the market? What's happening that's a little bit different that you're not going to capture, or you may capture late? Is there a surge in your town? So, for example, maybe you don't know that there's a World Cup game close to you coming up. I'm using that because that's where everybody's mind is. Yeah. If you don't know that that's coming, you can't price accordingly. And you're just taking your best guess. It's just a crapshoot on if this is going to work, if I'm going to be able to get my booking, or if I'm going to get what value I should be getting out of that. So I would say it is. It's probably just as, if not more important for an individual host, because it's leveling the playing field for you.
That's true. And often independent hosts aren't necessarily full-time able to dedicate their attention to all of those things, right? So it kind of allows you to not be on all the time.
What it gives you is the opportunity, maybe instead of trying to find the time to jump through all the spreadsheets, instead of doom scrolling, you can open up your apps and do a quick check-in at night before bed and make sure everything's working the way it should. And then you've got peace of mind to know that you're taken care of.
For sure. Makes sense. And then my other question before we jump into the Q&A is, do you think the audit is worth repeating regularly, as in like every quarter or bi-yearly, just to revisit, okay, I have new tasks or processes come up that I'm not automating. Is everything working well? That kind of thing.
I think it is. And if nothing else, save all of your audits together. That way, as you go back and look, you can look at just how much more of your time you're spending in different areas. So you may find little things bubble to the top that you need to change, but if nothing else, it may just serve to validate what you've been doing anyway.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I want to take a question/comment from Kynan Welsh. Kynan says, I think it sounds dreamy, but I personally haven't experienced AI at a mature enough level to make nuanced responses to guest communication issues. Can you give us an example of how you believe this works?
Sure. I think some things to do, like we said, however you're communicating with your guest, have some boilerplate answers that you can just quickly click and reply. What also works really well is running those replies through AI to just say, this is a question I get a lot. This is how I answered it. Am I answering it well enough? To try to just make sure that you're responding in a way you should. And one thing that can really help you, especially if you're newer to this, if you get an AI agent like Claude, train it up, give it information about what your business is, what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. Give it a little bit of information about your customer profile, like who's booking with you. That way, when you're asking AI, you're saying, I get this question from a user all the time. It's taken into consideration who you're actually talking to.
Yeah, makes sense. Lodgify also offers autoresponders, templates you can set up with answers to the same question. If you always get questions about, can I check in late, or where's parking, that kind of thing, you can set up those answers for quick replies. And an AI messaging assistant that helps you respond to questions as well, which can help save a ton of time. And I'll put some more information, a link to more information about that in the chat later. Question from Lynn. Lynn wants to know, what is the source of your data for dynamic pricing?
Oh, that's a great question. So one thing I can say here at Beyond is we have access to more data than any of our competitors, and that's what we really pride ourselves on. Not only do we have a large database of users who are actually using Beyond, that we can see what their booking looks like. Not only are we able to pull a lot of this data, we have engineers who are continually pulling booking data from the big companies like Airbnb, Booking, Vrbo. We are also the only team that's using search intent data. So we're able to see what people are searching for. So if we start seeing that there are a bunch of people searching in San Francisco in 3 months, we're able to put that into and take that into consideration for our dynamic pricing, where none of the other dynamic pricing solutions are looking at search intent data. And if you want to check it out, if you're interested to see what kind of data you get, we do have a free tool. You can just search market trends. You can put in an address and it'll give you an idea of what's going on in that area. We're continually doing things for our pro customers like comp sets, so you can see how you're comparing to comparable properties around you. Because let's just be honest, if you've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath rental, and you are a block away from a park where concerts happen all the time, that's going to be dramatically different than if you're somewhere that's not walkable, right? We make sure that we're actually comparing comparable properties for you.
Awesome. And I'm guessing the answer might be similar to this for this question. Mary George wants to know where your analytics data comes from. So, for example, if you used Beyond's conversational tool and asked something like, why did my bookings drop last week? What they're referencing there.
It's a great question, Mary. Mm-hmm. What we're going to do is, if you ask Naoba and say, why did my bookings drop last week? We're going to look at what's happening in the market first. Were other bookings around you dropping? Okay. Did you have, was there a couple, it'll pull, were there a couple of days that you had, your rental blocked and people were booking for 4 or 5 days and it was in the middle, they couldn't hit those? Were there events, was your dynamic pricing turned off, and was there a decrease in need in your area and your price didn't adjust for that? So things like that. We're going to look at the full market data. We're going to look at your portfolio performance. So it's a combination of what we're seeing from all of our data sources as well as what we're seeing directly from your accounts.
Awesome, thanks. Here's a question that I think has no easy answer, but maybe you can weigh in on it. Kynan wants to know where we draw the line between AI handling questions like, what's the Wi-Fi password, or something more difficult that maybe requires a human touch and someone stepping in to answer.
So that's great, Kynan. And what it's going back to is that the AI is not going to replace you. I know that's everybody's fear, is that AI is going to come for your job. It's going to take everything over. And in this case, it kind of would be cool if AI could take care of working with all of your guests, but we're not going to get to that point anytime soon. So part of it is, again, within Lodgify, you can set up those answers and build your own database on what kind of questions people are asking. So if you start with, you've got six commonly asked questions, you've got your quick replies for those, but then you start noticing people are asking other questions, build those in, and it's really going to come down to you looking through those and saying, is this one where I can just click this autoresponder Is there a rule I can set up where if they say, what is the Wi-Fi password, it'll automatically reply with the Wi-Fi password? But anything that doesn't fit into a nice little box, which we know a lot of the questions these guests are asking you are going to be the same. They're not dramatically, most questions are not dramatically outside of the fold. When can I check in? Can I do late checkout? Where do I park my car? What are some restaurants you recommend? What's the Wi-Fi password? Having those programs, it's just really what that's about is you're not typing that answer out every time or going to another tool to copy and paste the response you have. It's right there to click.
Yeah, for sure. I know at least with Lodgify's AI assistant, if it's an easy question, you can click a button and have it write the response in seconds and you're good to go. If it's a question that's a little more complicated, you can always have the AI suggest a message and review it and see if it does a good enough job with the more complicated responses, or do it yourself. It always comes back to you and your judgment. But yeah, would be amazing if AI could just take over everything. Unfortunately, I don't think we're quite there yet. Here's a question from Lynn. Lynn wants to know how dynamic pricing actually works. So does AI automatically change the nightly rate and adjust that across all of the booking channels, or what specifically is going on there?
So that's the cool thing about tools like Beyond. You have as much control as you want or don't want. It can be that we go automatically make those changes, and when you sign up to have Beyond do all of your dynamic process pricing automatically, we send you recaps to let you know what we've done. And within Beyond, all of your OTAs you have, if you're on Booking, Vrbo, and Airbnb, and you set it up to do so, we can change all of those prices at once for you. The other thing it can do is we can give you recommendations that you can go and manually change. So it's kind of, I think it's really cool. There's a lot of automation that takes place that you can do, but if you like to have more control, or if you're new and you want to see how it actually works and make sure that you're validating that dynamic pricing works the way it does, you have access to all of that in your settings.
Could be kind of thing where if you're new to dynamic pricing, you still kind of want to feel like you have control. You review the recommendations, decide on your own, and then as you get more comfortable, you become a little more hands-off.
Absolutely. And if you want to email me afterwards, I will give you a shameless plug right now that we will give you a bunch of free credit to go try it out and see how dynamic pricing works for you.
Awesome. Super cool. Thank you. Ada has a question about the World Cup. Basically, it cut out when you were talking about the World Cup, and if you could repeat that. But I think this could actually be a good example to walk through how dynamic pricing might help in a situation like the World Cup, which is, for those of you who don't know, an international soccer tournament that's going to bring guests from all over the world to see matches in the US, Canada, and Mexico. And obviously will have a big impact on rates.
So what we've done is we've looked at what's happened historically at World Cups, what that looks like. We're looking at the individual markets, looking at when games are, understanding how far in advance, things that without access to all of this data would be really hard to figure out. And we actually found, I'm not going to name any names, but some customers of competitors of ours were discussing how they were trying to respond to those rates and figured out, and they were doing kind of a YOLO approach. And some people in the thread were giving fairly bad advice on how you should price. Whereas here, what it'll be is we'll take into consideration all of the factors that we know go into hosting a big event. And it's not just things that are on the global scale, like a World Cup. So if there's a concert coming, and I'm not even just talking like, these huge concerts for like Beyonce or Taylor Swift or Bad Bunny, if there are smaller concerts that we know are going to bring people to your area, we're adjusting for that. We're looking at all of the events that are on the calendar in your market and adjusting based on what we know will be happening when they get there.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to hear, because you never, as an individual host, it's really hard to know how important is this event that's coming to town. Am I doubling my nightly rate? Am I tripling it? Or is it not that big of a deal? So I think dynamic pricing can be super helpful to take the guesswork out, also be alerted to these events, right? So you're not constantly having to monitor local calendars. It's super helpful. We're getting to the end of our questions. So if there's anything you guys want to know about and it hasn't come up yet, go ahead and put it in the chat. I will answer one about Lodgify. Mary had wanted to know when we talk about the app, is it just a management app or is this also a guest-facing app? So technically, we have 3 different apps. We have the core Lodgify app, which helps you run your operations, respond to messages, check your calendar, that kind of thing. We also have a PM modules app that is primarily for property managers who are communicating and managing like cleaners and other staff. And then we also have the guest-facing app, which serves as a guest guidebook so they can access things like Wi-Fi, check-in details, that kind of thing. And then on your end, Tom, I'm guessing it's just there wouldn't be a guest-facing app, I'm guessing. No?
There's not a guest-facing app. We don't communicate with guests at all. Our entire thing is made for hosts, property managers, and revenue managers.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then let's see. I think that is about it. Is there anything last minute you want to share, Tom, or anything else you want people to walk away with from this webinar?
You're in a really cool place to be doing what you're doing right now. I don't think historically for people who are running their small businesses, having access to the kind of data and tooling that you have right now is unprecedented. And really getting in on this early, starting it now, building out your workflows, your automation, getting your tooling working is going to put you leaps and bounds ahead of the competition in your market. And I would say don't try it alone. Tools like Lodgify for your channel management, Beyond for your dynamic pricing and building out your strategy. These tools have a lot more experience, history, data than you have access to right now. And I would turn that into your secret weapon, your ace in the hole, and really use it to level up your business. And I can honestly say, in our experience working with Lodgify and with the team here at Beyond, that is what we care about. Because like at Beyond, if you don't increase your bookings, we don't make money. We make a percentage off of your bookings. So if you're not able to get bookings or you're not able to grow those bookings, that means that we don't get paid. We're in this more as a partner than just looking at you as a customer.
For sure. Yeah, setting everyone up to succeed. Yeah, couldn't agree more. So thanks again, Tom, so much for being here. Thanks for everyone for joining. I'm going to put a couple links in the chat for you guys in case you want more information about the Lodgify mobile app. Tom, if there's any links you want to leave with people, feel free to do the same. And then once again, everyone will receive the webinar recording via email tomorrow. I know it seemed to freeze for some people here and there. So if you missed anything, you can definitely watch the recording to get those insights. And yeah, we'll leave it here. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.